welcome to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Levine. Living intuitively wild is about coming back home to ourselves. Here, we talk about how to live connected to ourselves, others, and nature, and make a commitment to radical authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance. On this podcast, we delve into a wide range of topics that span the human experience. We peel back the layers and talk about the things that are often not talked about. This is a space for us all to walk and wander this path of life together. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our February reflection and intention setting episode. This is the first time we're doing this on video, the first time doing a solo on video for the podcast, which feels fun and exciting and a little uncomfortable, so we're rolling with it. I have my candle going, I have my tea, we're in the apothecary, and I really want these first episodes of the month going forward to just be a time for us to connect, a time for us to chat and have this ritual of pausing and acknowledging what's happening in our life. I want it to be a time where I just share what's on my mind, what I'm going through, a little less structured and scheduled than it was before, and more just free flow, sharing what's on my heart and mind. I did write some things down that I want to share, but that's my intention going forward. I think that it will be a nice way to just be really connected. And my favorite podcasts to listen to are often the ones where people are just chatting about life and we're just processing together. So that's what we're going to do. I can't believe that January just ended. Right now, as I'm recording it, we have a little bit of January left since this comes out the first week of February. But January feels like it went by so quickly. I think it's because I took that first week of January off, and that was really my full hibernation mode time. I went off all social media. I tried to be off my phone as much as possible. I didn't check my emails. I was not working at all. It's the longest time I've taken off of work really since I started my business, and it was much needed and so necessary. And I think that's why it feels like January went by so fast, because I came back to work and the first week of January was already gone. So January has been interesting. I think it's been interesting because I still am very much committed to embodying and embracing winter and wintering and slowing down, and I've been forced to as it's been freezing outside. And I'm still committing to embodying that in all aspects of my life and letting my visions take their time and drop in when they need to and have clarity when it comes, and not force and not push and not rush into the year. And a lot of the big projects I am birthing this year, which there are a few that I'm so very excited about, are definitely coming to fruition spring and summer and aligned with the seasons. I did that intentionally, and it just happened naturally. And, that supports my business. A lot is happening behind the scenes right now, and a lot is aligned with this winter energy. And at the same time, even though a lot is happening behind the scenes, it's still a lot to do. So it still feels like I'm having to do sometimes push against the wintering mode and push myself out into the world and out into action and doing and more than I might want to. But I also have been surprised with how it's felt natural. And I think that's because even as I'm doing the things and moving, and some things are speeding up and starting to happen, I'm doing it all still with this winter energy, which again, as I always say, it's not necessarily about what we're doing, it's how we're doing it. And I think it's also a lot of it is just things are falling into place for the future. So my schedule is getting filled, and appointments are getting locked in, and timelines are moving, and it's still all in the future, but my brain sees something on the schedule, it's like I have to think about that now. I have to do everything I possibly can for that now. And that's just my own stuff that I'm working through, the urgency and the anxiety around having something unfinished and needing it to happen now, even though it physically can't. Like say I'm have an event or something launching in March, I can't do it now. Like the event can't happen now. It's happening in March, but my brain still wants me to be able to, still wants me to do it. But that's my own stuff that I'm sorting through. And again, that's why this winter energy and this slowing down is so important. And something I was reflecting on with a friend is it feels like, yes, I'm slowing down extra because it's winter and that's the energy and the season that we're in. But I also feel like my whole body needed a restructure, and my whole being and lifestyle needed this slowdown and this new way of existing. And I'm embracing that more and more. So I feel even as the seasons shift and change, there is this slowness that will continue. And I don't know if slowness is necessarily the right word, because I don't think it will always feel slow. I think it's this presence that will always continue, and these pauses, and the awareness that there's a winter in many different cycles. Even if we're in summer and it feels very fast and active, we're still going to have moments of winter, whether that's the new moon or nighttime or a moment where I'm having an inner winter. There will still be times in life to honor and embrace winter energy, and I can just do that more. And I think that's more what I'm taking with me from this time, even if it's not the full winter season, winter slowness type of energy all the time, which I wouldn't even want it to be, because right now I do and I need that. But I'm already getting so excited for spring and summer. And it's part of the gift that winter brings us, because I was standing outside for the 0.2 seconds that I could the other day when it was negative degrees, and just had this moment where I was like, I am so grateful I can be okay with winter right now, because it is going to make spring feel so good. And I am going to be so excited for that warm weather, because I allowed myself to actually exist in winter and not ignore it and push it away. So it just makes life more magical. And winter has continued to be a process of reflecting. And it's also been this really beautiful time for me to go deeper into, and some other things that have helped me embrace this winter season even more is this certification course I'm taking that I am so in love with, I could talk about forever, is the Art and Ritual of Tea certification course. And it's led by Sarah of Tea Huntress. I highly recommend you look her up. I love her. I think she's amazing. We started on the winter solstice and we go until the spring equinox. It's a 3-month course. I already don't want it to end. We meet every Sunday live. And, I've done a lot of training with my herbalism, and that is something I am so immersed with, and it's a huge part of my business. And learning about tea in this different way has been transformative and so illuminating and enlightening, and also humbling, because even though I've done so much work with my herbalism, I really didn't know that much about the difference about the herbal infusions I'm making and tea. Because although and many people talk about herbs as tea is actually its own plant. So the drinks that I make are actually herbal infusions, because the ones I have been making don't have the tea plant in them. The calendula, the chamomile, all the different ingredients that I use are actually herbal herbs. And so I'm making herbal infusions, versus such as what you might know as traditional English breakfast teas are made with the tea plant, oolongs, chais, pu'ers. There's many different kinds. Those are all made with the tea plant. I will say though, I might never use a tea bag again. Definitely become more and more of a tea snob. But I think that I'm going to save this for a whole other podcast, because there's so much I could say here. What I will say now is that I've incorporated tea into my morning ritual. So every day I meditate with tea. And again, there's different traditional ceremonies around it from different lineages, and we're learning all of them. And it's been so special to bring that into my meditation practice, my morning ritual. And I felt such a connection to this tea plant. It's been transformative. And I'm so excited to offer these kinds of ceremonies and rituals to you guys when the time comes. Right now, I'm drinking a Rwandan oolong tea. I had it in my ritual this morning. And with a lot of these rituals, you continue to use the leaves for several steeps. So this is like the 10th time I steeped these leaves. But taking this time to meditate with the tea every morning has been a really beautiful way to enhance and enrich my meditations. It feels so perfect that I started this during the winter season, and it is definitely something that I am going to continue to delve into. And it fits so perfectly into all my work. Herbalism, tea, it's the same, different sides of the same coin, and ultimately it's all ritual. It's all intention. It's all the same. And yeah, just excited to share more info about all of that with you. If you have any questions about tea and tea rituals, tea ceremonies, feel free to ask them, and I would love to go into it all. And that also brings me to another exciting announcement, which is I'm going to announce it elsewhere later on in the month, so you guys are the first to hear. But I'm starting a new segment on the podcast/YouTube called Tea Time Talks. And this will be once a month at least. I have someone over in person to just have a real raw conversation about what we are going through, whether that's reflecting on the month that's passed or reflecting on a specific time in their life, reflecting on our life in general, setting intentions for the month to come, or thinking about our general life intentions, sharing our rituals through it all. We're just going to be processing and reflecting and sharing and connecting together and drinking tea, of course. And I've really gotten clear that a huge intention of mine is to do in-person things. And although that is not my comfort zone for many different reasons, and it definitely is something I have to push myself to do at first, it also genuinely feels like my path and my purpose. And for a while, I tried to avoid that and fight that. And the universe kept saying, no, this is what you're meant to do. And if you listen to my podcast with Danny Beinstein a couple weeks ago, I mentioned how often the things that are the most challenging for me are the things that I'm most meant to do. And owning and embracing and accepting that has been a process, but it's been so rewarding and reminds me that I can trust my own intuition over my logical mind, because often my mind is telling me I can't do this, or has these limiting beliefs or conditioning or X, Y, and Z reasons why it's not going to work, or I'm not meant for it, or I'm not good enough, or whatever. And my intuition keeps saying, this is the path. This is what you got to do. And so one of the ways I'm incorporating these in-person deep connections is through these tea time talks. So now one of our podcast conversations with a guest will be these tea time talks in person. And I wrote, one of my intentions for the new year was to have more people over to my place for ritual. And now I'm doing it in this way, and that's really exciting. So the first one will come out later this month, and I can't wait to share it with you all. I also am so excited to connect with all the amazing people in this area of all walks of life. I'm sure some of the conversations I have will be with friends and family, but so far all the people I have scheduled to record these conversations are new people I've met here who are doing a wide range of different things and who are all so authentic and so cool. And I just can't wait to share their story with all of you and for me to get to know them better and to just open up the space for us all to connect in this way. If you are in the area or going to be in New York at any time and would want to do a tea time talk with me, I have really no restrictions or limitations around who I want to talk to. I will talk to anyone and anyone, whether you are the most famous person on earth or no one knows your name, because I think everyone has a story to tell and everyone has a message to give and impact to have on others. I, more than anything, just want to hold the space for that. Just want to connect with everyone. Feel free to reach out to me, or if there's someone that you are interested in me talking to, I would love to hear from you around that too. I'll also be always sharing the tea that we're having, and maybe in future episodes we'll talk about the ritual around it and we can share some of the rituals. I'll definitely be doing that even more on the ritual YouTubes as well. So, and what just popped into my head was another thing that I wanted to talk about, which was the importance of being able to hold and exist within many different experiences and emotions at once. With the fires that recently happened in Los Angeles, and even before that, the hurricane in Asheville, and also just I could go on and list many different tragedies and traumas and chaos happening in the world all over, and that have been consistently and continue to. Amidst all of that, there's also a list of things I could name that are beautiful and joyful and magical, and also mundane and simple and normal. And I've really had to allow all to exist within me. I can't get too caught up in any of them really, and I have to kind of let myself feel what I'm feeling in all of them. I think it's been very hard to show up for me on social media and not feel like I don't know what to say to those suffering directly from the floods, or to feel like I don't know what to say directly to people who lost their homes to the fire. And I've been indirectly impacted by all these things, but I don't live in these places anymore, and I'm so grateful to be safe and healthy and happy. And I have been deeply impacted in many different ways, and I'm handling that and helping with that in the ways I can and in the ways I feel called to right now behind the scenes. And I haven't felt called to directly share about it all online, and I guess people can make assumptions. And one, I guess it's important to remember that you don't know how someone is handling something, or all the things that are going on behind the scenes in someone's life, just because you see bits and pieces online. And to remember that there's a whole world going on behind the screen that you don't see. Also, just because someone's not talking about a topic doesn't mean that they haven't been impacted by it, or they're not doing something to support it or change it or take action. And not just talking about myself, I'm just talking about us, all of us going on social media and making assumptions in general. But with all of that, can be so easy to get lost in the grief and in the fear and in the unknown and anger and frustration and anxiety. And it's still so important to stay in the presence and stay in the gratitude and in the joy. And I think sometimes it can feel hard for me to share that one, because there's guilt in that. There's shame that I have that privilege. And it's also the knowledge that not everyone can access the joy and the gratitude right now because of what they're going through. But that doesn't take away the fact that the rest of us need to. We need to feel the joy and the pain simultaneously. We need to be able to laugh and cry simultaneously. We need to have the levity and the distraction and the nuance all at once, because otherwise we'll all get stuck. If we are resourced enough to take care of ourselves, we need to. Otherwise, we can't support those who don't have that capacity. And so if you can laugh right now, if you can find joy in the little things right now, if you can dance in the darkness, we need to do that. And we need to cry, and we need to grieve, and we need to take action. And it's just allowing ourselves to experience it all at once, to not seeing our emotions as black and white or this or that or good or bad, and to celebrate the whole human experience at once. I think that's a big thing I'm learning, not only through all the tragedy happening right now, but just through my experience in general. Even if I'm personally having a hard day, okay, I'm having a hard day or a hard moment, and then I can also then be like, oh, now I'm ready to laugh and not hold on to that hard moment because I'm upset about something or something happened. Is that making sense? I think we need to laugh more. I think we need to love more. And I think we need a little bit more lightness because we are so present and aware that it isn't light. It isn't all light and love at all. And so how can we let the light and love exist amidst the heavy and the dark? So that's been a little bit about what I've been processing and reflecting on when it comes to January. And now we're moving into February. Wow. So we just had In Bulk, which you should listen to that podcast or watch the YouTube all about it. But February is also known for the month of love, for Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day holds many different meanings for me. It's actually quite meaningful for me. I wrote a Substack about this that will be coming out the week of Valentine's Day that shares a bit about my experience. And I won't go into it too much here, but Valentine's Day 2020 was right when I started treatment for the first time. February 7th was my first day in treatment. Again, if you want to hear more about those reflections, I'll leave it for that post. But because of that, this time always brings me back to that moment. And again, mixed emotions. Brings me back to the whole experience and that person who I was that first day of treatment and everything I went through then. And then overall, in general, the whole process I've gone through since then was really this process of self-love, to put it simply. Treatment and recovery is what taught me to actually love myself, and therefore it ultra emphasizes that Valentine's Day for me symbolizes the day I chose to love myself, the day I chose to choose myself, and the day I chose to live and commit to life. And therefore, February will always hold an important time for me, an important point of reflection and connection. And regardless of however else I celebrate or whatever else I am celebrating about Valentine's Day, it is this time to remember the love that I have decided to build for myself, the love I've decided to commit to, because for me, self-love is a constant commitment. It's a constant devotion. It's a constant ritual. And it hasn't come easy. And now it often does. For the most part, I still have moments where I have to kind of push and prod and say with tears in my eyes, I love you, or scream it, I love you. But more often than not, now I'm able to say, wow, I really just, I accept all of me. I accept all of me, and I always will. And that was not an easy place for me to get to. It was not a one and done thing. And it takes constant daily steps to maintain that foundation. And for me, Valentine's Day symbolizes that. And so I hope that however you feel about Valentine's Day, or wherever you're at in your romantic relationships or intimacy in general, that you really think about your relationship with yourself. And of course, that can sound trite or something that is often talked about, but it's hard because these words are so overused. And words are are challenging sometimes because you can't actually, the truth of the word is the intention, the energy behind it, the meaning behind it, the impact of it. So I really want you to feel in your body self-love. Like, what does that feel like to you? What does that truly mean to you? Where are you at on that process? Where do you want to be? And how do you cultivate that and create that for yourself? I hope that this month you can think about that and you can prioritize that and really get into the feeling of that for you. Again, words don't do words justice. Like, words don't do their meaning justice. So my intention for February is to celebrate this love I've cultivated for myself and to continue to assess where I'm at with it and how I can maintain and elevate the foundation I built for myself and show up in that way in all areas of my life, in all relationships, in all moments, and to focus on the levity and the love and the lightness that I can, while acknowledging and being fully present with the dark and the heavy and all the rest of it. And to find the beauty in it all, to find the meaning in it all. And that's really only something we can do for ourselves, because it's very rarely helpful to say to someone who's going through the greatest loss of their life, there's meaning in this, or there's purpose in this, or laugh through this, or love through this. That's not helpful. But you can say to yourself, what does this mean for me? Where is the lightness in this? How can I laugh through this? How can I love through this? We can say that to ourselves. We can show up for ourselves in that way. So it's your responsibility to see where you're at in that and see what you can do for yourself in that, and to let yourself feel it all and to not get stuck in any one moment of your existence. I hope some of that resonated with you. I'm curious how you are feeling listening to this and what's coming up for you as you listen to this. I really want these conversations to be a conversation. So I'd love to hear from you guys if there's anything that you took from this that you want to expand on, or any reflections you have from January, any intentions you have for February, anything you're looking forward to, the energy you're feeling, what you're learning, what you're releasing. All the things. I want to hear all the things. I really do. I more and more just want this to be a space for authentic conversation, for deep connection, for vulnerability, for authenticity, for us all to just be together in the messy magic of being human. So I guess that's where I'll leave you for now. I'm excited to see what February reveals to us and what comes from this time. The sun is setting. The lighting is not great, but that's also with the videos. I'm not going to try to make them perfect. I'm not going to try to make myself look perfect or be edited or anything. It's just going to be me showing up as the sun is setting with my candle and my tea. And that's all. That's as if you guys were here with me having a little tea time talk. So I will see you next time for more magic. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.